What is going on, folks? I am Goat, and welcome back to the breakdown. And oh me, oh my, what a breakdown it is. Christ. You know, like my picks are getting better because teams are just what they are. But damn. Oh, Christ. So, week 16. Week 16, I ended out week 16 12-4 with my picks. So, getting a little more fine-tuned as the season has gone on, but there's always surprises. What do you say? So, first game, and these may be a little bit out of order because of flex games and whatever, but first game, week 16, Jaguars at Jets. Look, man, when I hear that Mike White still can't go in, can't get cleared to play, and Zach Wilson's going to be starting, and the Jaguars are playing as good as they have been, I'm going Jags, which is what I chose. Guess what? They won 19-3. And guess what? Robert Saleh benched Zach Wilson again because Zach still doesn't think he's the problem. That kid needs an ego check. Big time. Like, I feel bad for the Jets fans because Robert Saleh really has a really good team. He's got a good core built to that team. It's much like looking at the Broncos, except with actually having a good coach, but still having the quarterback woes. Like, the Jets they're right on that cusp of being really good if they could just find the right quarterback. And that's been like the story of the Jets for like the better part of a decade, is finding the right quarterback, the long sustainable quarterback to really make them a good team. They've got a really solid defense, dealt with a few injuries here and there, but they've got a really solid defense. And they've got some offensive weapons. They just don't have a fucking quarterback that can get the job done. I mean, Mike White is probably their best bet. Excuse me. And moving forward, I think he probably still is the best bet. But I think he still has some fine tuning as well. So, I mean, next year may still have some woes. Don't know. But as of right now, it's like I keep saying, man, the Jaguars have been frustratingly hit or miss this season. They really have, man. They have been frustratingly hit or miss. And it really just comes down to they are better than their record. They've just had some fault moments where you're just like, oh my God. But man, Trevor Lawrence has been playing lights out for like, 5 games now? I mean, like, their one hiccup game out of their last stretch of games was the Chiefs game, and they just got their asses kicked in that one, but not even horribly kicked, but they got their butts kicked. But they've done really well other than that Chiefs game. So, I mean, props to the Jags and Doug Peterson for really kind of sorting some shit out with that team. This next game, Falcons at Ravens. I chose Ravens to win just because the Falcons are a fucking mess, not because the Ravens are that good. I mean, the Ravens are one of the more, even when Lamar was playing, and they just started this season out, much like last season, depleted with injuries, man. This fucking team has got to be, next to the Rams, the most depleted injury team out there, and somehow still has a winning record. I don't know, man. I mean, more props to the Ravens. I don't know how the fuck they're doing it, but they're doing it. Especially with the record they have. They're frustrating to watch. They're frustrating to fucking try to track and frustrating to do picks on because they're just like, ugh. But yeah. Yeah. I chose Ravens to win. They won 17-9 over the Falcons. It's a game that they should have dominated. Okay, let's put it that way. I guess it's probably the best way to put it. The Ravens should have absolutely dominated this game, and it was not a dominating game. It was just a win. First shock of the week for me, Lions at Panthers. I chose Lions to win for obvious reasons. They've been playing very fucking good. But surprisingly, in the last 3 weeks, much like the Texans, the Panthers have actually been playing pretty fucking good. And they came in and they outplayed the Lions, beat them 37-23, so I was off on that pick. It's a very Detroit Lions thing to do, right? When you need to win the most, when you really need to win the fuck out and get your ass into the playoffs, and then you lose a game to a team that's been shit for most of the season. Dugga. Yeah, Panthers won that one, like I said, 37-23. Next game, Seahawks at Chiefs. Now, this one, I'm going to be honest, the Chiefs look like a cat playing with a toy. Okay? Like it looked like they were just dicking around out there. It really, I mean, am I fucking wrong? Did anybody else see this game? Because it really just looked like they were just fucking, it was like a cat playing with a mouse in the hallway, just batting a fucking thing around, just like, hey, you think? Nope. Fuck you, stay down. I mean, that's just how they seemed. It's no knock on the Seahawks per se, because, you know, when Lockett's out and they're dealing with other injuries in general, and then their run game is just really sporadically going and then not, it's just, I don't know what the hell is going on with the Seahawks. Like, they had a really good run, and then they've just kind of fallen off a cliff. So, I don't know, man. So, next game, Saints at Browns. Go, Deshaun! Oh, too soon. Saints win 17-10 as I fucking picked. By the way, the Chiefs won 24-10 over the Seahawks. Yeah, Saints beat the Browns. Sorry, man. Deshaun's been off the football field for 18 months plus. Threw a temper tantrum about playing for a team that was all fucked up and playing for a shitty coach, and then had all of the legal allegations and everything else, and then was suspended for 12 fucking weeks this season. Like, this dude is really going to be any good this season. This is a warm up for him for next season. Okay, let's just be honest. It's exactly what this is. So I have no faith that the Browns are. I mean, I don't even know what the fuck the Browns schedule is. Like, we'll look, because they've only got 2 more games. Let's find the Browns. Let's see here. Browns at Commanders. I honestly think the Commanders will probably take that game. And then their next game, Browns at Steelers. I think the Steelers will take that game, but we'll see. We'll see how they do against the Commanders first. So don't want to get too far ahead. But yeah, I mean, the Browns got, you know, just generally controlled. It wasn't like an overwhelming blowout by the Saints, because the Saints they haven't been that blowout team this season, but, you know, I mean, they beat the Browns. I'm excited for them for that. I love the Saints, so it is what it is. 17-10, Saints win. Next shocker for the week, Texans at Titans. Like I said, man, divisional games are weird, but the Titans are just, I don't know what the fuck is going on with that team, but goddamn. First of all, they're fucking stupid for trading off AJ Brown for AJ Brown, you know, like receiver, when you could have just had 2 AJ Browns on the team. Basically, that would have been amazing for the fucking team. But no, let's not go that route. No, let's not go that route. Let's trade him off and then just draft the supposed next AJ Brown. Hasn't exactly been a working scheme for them. And they got beat by a team who has apparently forgotten they're the worst fucking team in football, but they beat their division rival, the Titans. The Texans beat the Titans 19-14. That's a bad game for the Titans, and the Titans are now right on the risk of losing their division. That's funny to me, man. We're going to get into divisional talk here once I get done doing the weekly breakdown here, and the overall playoff standings at this point, because we're right around the corner. So next game, Bengals at Patriots. Honestly, I did not see this going any other way. Mac Jones he's got no real support system at OC. And my God, the Mac Jones dirty plays things have been just rolling rampant. It's hilarious. I think Mac Jones is out there throwing hissy fits and just attacking players, trying to get away with it, and getting away with some of it. And somebody's going to light his ass up for it at some point. It's inevitable. It always happens. But unfortunately, in this game, didn't even get a chance. Bengals took this game 22-18. I really didn't see it going any other way. So yeah. Next game, Giants at Vikings. I cannot fathom how fucked up the Vikings defense is, man. They confuse the shit out of me. The Vikings offense is really good, but for some reason they're kind of like the Chiefs. They're frustrating to watch because they will either blow somebody's fucking doors off or everything's got to be a 1-score game. Like, I think they've had 11 1-score games this season. Like, what? They came back at the very end of the fucking game for a field goal and beat the Giants 27-24. Now, I picked the Vikings to beat the Giants, and I figured with the Giants defense that it would be a little bit of a fight, but I didn't figure the Giants were actually going to be leading this game for any period of time. So kudos to the Giants. Not cool that they didn't come away with a win when they really should have, but I mean, you can't stop the other team from getting into field goal range. I don't know what to tell you. So Vikings won as picked. Next game, Bills at Bears. I chose Bills to win, and I will say this, it doesn't reflect it, but I mean, the Bears in the first half had this game. They were ahead of the Bills. The second half, the defense has done what they've done all season long and literally crumbled and fell apart under the pressure. And the Bills came back and beat them 35-13. Imagine that. There's still problems with the Bills, okay? Without question, there's problems with the Bills. I think they are a very good team. I think they are, I mean, they've obviously clinched to go to the playoffs. But this next week's game is going to be a deciding factor on if they're going to be the first seed or not. I mean, the next 2 weeks are going to be a deciding factor. Right now, they obviously carry the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. Okay? But if they lose to the Bengals and the Chiefs win out, doesn't matter. Like, then they're going to be the third seed instead of the first seed. So, I mean, it's a really interesting situation right now. Again, we'll get into that. But yeah, the Bills beat the Bears 35-13. The Bears just need a solid restart. They finally got a good quarterback. I think Justin Fields has got a lot of potential, but my God, they've got to get an O-line for him. And they've got to fix their defensive problems. They really do, man. They've got to fix their defensive problems. It's so bad. Next game, Commanders at 49ers. Bad enough that Heineke got benched for Carson Wentz. I mean, that was a wow man moment for me. It really was. But I mean, the 49ers convincingly beat the Commanders 37-20. I chose the 49ers to win because I just didn't see the Commanders standing up to that defense, and I was right. Next one, Eagles at Cowboys. Now, I fucking said it that if Hurts didn't fucking play, that the Cowboys had a shot at winning this game. You know, Gardner Minshew not having, you know, a season's worth of reps, game was still close. And this is my thing. Like, I know that there's lots of MVP talk, right? If you look at different quarterbacks in this league, okay, how many quarterbacks can you say that you could take the quarterback out of the equation and the team would basically play the same? Because with Gardner Minshew playing, they still put up 34 fucking points. Okay. I put that score backwards, by the way. Gardner Minshew playing, they still put up 34 fucking points. So that tells me leaps and bounds that as a defense, they did a really good job, sort of, but the Cowboys are explosive, and CeeDee Lamb and Gallup have been playing very well. And then their dual-headed monster of a running game between Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott has actually been functional. It's not been a blowout thing, but it's been very functional and a very good thing to lean on. Man, CeeDee Lamb has just been playing really, really lights out as the number one receiver. Just really good. So, but the Cowboys, man, oh my God, they are another one of those frustrating teams to fucking watch because they're really good one week and then they get their doors blown off by a team that they shouldn't lose to, much like the Chiefs playing the Colts. Just saying, playing the Broncos, they almost lost. Playing the Texans, they almost lost. The Cowboys have had the same problem. Truth be told, the Cowboys should have beat the Jaguars if it wouldn't have been for a fucking receiver not catching a fucking ball last week. You know, so this week, they made up for it. They beat the number one team in the fucking division, and not only in their division, but in their conference. So, yeah, 40-34. But therein lies my point. Gardner Minshew only taking first team reps after the Jalen Hurts injury was announced. And he came in and dropped 34 fucking points on the Cowboys defense. Where does Hurts really sit in the MVP conversation? If your backup comes in on less than a week's worth of fucking first team reps and still drops 34, that tells me that it's a lot more supporting cast. I'm not taking anything away from Jalen Hurts. I think he's amazing. I think he is rapidly becoming a very amazing quarterback. So no knock on Hurts whatsoever. But he's got a wicked supporting cast. Flip it to... I mean, here, let's just flip any fucking team. Okay, you take Dak Prescott away from the Cowboys. We already saw what happened with that. They were winning games. Okay. You take Trevor Lawrence away from the Jaguars. I think they'll have a problem. The Ravens. I mean, look at the Jets. They've had a carousel going on. The Falcons, it doesn't matter. The Ravens, they've gone second and third string fucking quarterbacks and they're still playing the same. I think the Lions would have problems with Jared Goff not being in there, but I still think that they would be pretty good. The Panthers have had a carousel. I think the Seahawks, just with them falling off a cliff, doesn't even fucking matter. The Saints have a pre-designed fucking carousel of quarterbacks. It's interesting. The Browns doesn't really matter. I think there's a strong case for, for Joe Burrow. I don't think that the Bengals would perform nearly as well without Joe Burrow in there, but he's got a very strong cast. I mean, the Giants, come on, man. There's no way. The Vikings have a strong case with Kirk Cousins, but he's not been like amazing. I think, Jared Allen with the Bills, I think there's a strong case for him if you take him out of, and I'm not saying MVP, just strong case for game-changing team play if this quarterback doesn't play, right? Because, I mean, the MVP 99% of the time goes to a quarterback, so that's why I'm just talking about quarterbacks. But, like, if you take Kirk Cousins away from the Vikings, that could be problematic. You take, Josh Allen away from the Bills, that could be a problem. The Texans, rotating door. Tannehill with the Titans, it's not going to change anything. Rotating door with the Commanders between Heineke and Wentz. The rotating door with the 49ers, and they're doing just fucking fine. There's been 2 starting quarterbacks, 2 or 3, for the Cowboys, and for the most part, they're doing just fine. So no knocking Dak, because I think Dak's a good quarterback in the right set of circumstances, but the team can play without him. The Eagles, obviously Jalen Hurts out, and they still put up 34 on a very good fucking defense. So just their defense alone didn't quite play up to snuff. Funny enough, the Raiders, I think if you take Derek Carr out of that situation with the present supporting cast, I think the team would actually be even more hurt than what they are, as frustrating as they are. The Steelers have had a revolving door, but they haven't been playing so good this season anyway. Packers, I mean, what do you say about the Packers? Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if they would be better or worse without Aaron Rodgers, because I think part of their problem is Aaron Rodgers, and that's a terrible thing for me to say because I really like Aaron Rodgers. I just think he can't get out of his own ego's way. Tua's been in and out because of concussions, and honestly, that's a frightening thought, because if he keeps getting concussions, he's going to need to retire before he ends up with some drain damage going on. Yeah, so just saying. The Broncos, doesn't even matter. Rams, they've been rotating quarterbacks. I think the only glue that holds the Buccaneers offense together, even with their problems, has been Tom Brady. So if you take Tom Brady out of that equation, that's a problem. Cardinals have had their rotations. Chargers, I think without Justin Herbert, Chargers would be in a world of fucking hurt, because they were without him for a minute and they did not do so good. And the Colts have been a super rotating door, especially with this week. It's been their, 3rd or 4th fucking quarterback this season? Christ. So, yeah. So, I mean, the argument comes in, everybody's comparing Mahomes and Tua. Well, or not Mahomes and Tua, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. And my point is if you take Patrick Mahomes away from the Chiefs and stick Chad Henne into play, they are not going to be the same team. They are just not. They're going to lose games. So, when it comes to the MVP race, I think Mahomes is really the most likely candidate, truthfully. And it's not because it's home team. I'm looking at every team as they are. And as they are, I think Mahomes is the one that if you take him out, there's no way they've got the record they've got. There's just not a thing. I mean, they're fucking, 12-3 right now? No fucking way. No way. If they put Chad Henne in there, would they be, there's no fucking way they'd be rocking a 12-3 record. No chance. No. No way. So anyway, sorry, rant. I just get so sick and tired of hearing that argument. Oh, they'd be so much better with this. No, I don't think the case is quite as close as everybody says. So anyway, so the Cowboys beat the Eagles 40-34. Sorry about the entire skewed MVP talk there. We'll see soon enough. Next game, Raiders at Steelers. I chose Steelers to win. Guess what? That game was like watching fucking paint dry, but the Raiders almost came away with a win, but didn't. Raiders lost 10-13. Oh man, I can't type. I actually typed that as 10-113. The Steelers wish. Yeah, the Steelers kind of stole that one away. It is what it is. I mean, the Ravens have just got to get right. And honestly, Josh McDaniel finally expressing public frustration about Derek Carr's play this season is really what needs to be said. Because, yeah, Derek Carr having an emotional meltdown about how the team's practicing so hard and then they just don't perform on Sunday, he does have to own that, man. He really does. He's got to own it because his play is questionable. He's holding on to the ball too long. He's making really boneheaded passes. He's just missing wide open routes. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, we'll get into it with in a couple of games, but there's a few teams this season that have just got stacked ass rosters that make no fucking sense. The Raiders are one of them. The Raiders, I honestly thought were going to be a pretty fucking good team this season, and they're really not. They're a thorn in the side of other teams, but they're not a great team. They've got the potential to be, but they're just not. Their quarterback is failing them. Their defensive secondary is failing them. Their running game has been really good and then nothing and then really good. And then their passing is so fucking sporadic that it makes somebody with Tourette's seem normal. Just saying. So, yeah. So the Steelers won 13-10 over the Rams, is what it is. Next game, Packers at Dolphins. This was my last true surprise of the week, honestly. Because I chose Dolphins to win with this, and the only thing I'm going to say is, what the fuck is going on with the Dolphins? Okay, what the fuck? I mean, at the rate they're going to fucking miss the playoffs again. They cannot shit the bucket this close to the end of the season after having such a in my opinion, for what changes, what additions that they've made, what changes they've made on the team, with a coaching change and everything else. I really saw the Dolphins doing way, honestly, better than they have this season, and they have been just so crazy. What the fuck are they going? What is going on with this team? And yes, I know Tua's out with another concussion now, showing symptoms of it yesterday, which I'm recording this on Tuesday night, technically Wednesday morning, but they're showing signs of a concussion. So now he's out again on concussion protocol, which is a really scary thing. And honestly, I really hope that they just sit his ass for the rest of the season. Let him get right. Let his brain heal, because I'm sorry, man, the way he's been banged around, if he hasn't fit into the realm of a severe concussion at this point, I don't know what the hell he does. And those can take months to get through. You can't just gut out a concussion. I'm sorry. I've had over 80 in my life. That's a terrible, god-awful thing to say, but I've had over 80 in my life, and I've had symptoms that have lasted 3 months after I've had a concussion. So you can't tell me that these guys are good to go 14 days later, 10 days later. Fuck off. Let them fucking heal. If their head is banged up that goddamn bad, let them fucking heal rather than fucking make them mentally retarded in 5 years. You have to ask yourself 2 questions as an organization. Are you really willing to risk the long-term health of a player, first of all? Biggest question. Because team stats is something totally different. But are you really willing to risk the long-term health of your player because you want a good stat line? And then secondly, is the stat line that goddamn important, or is it okay to actually lose a season in order to maintain a long-term contract with this player? Because Tua's got potential. Now, I am so sick and fucking tired of hearing Tua is so accurate. Bro threw fucking 3 goddamn picks in this game. The fuck he is, okay? No. Tua's good. He's not amazing yet. He still got work to do. I think Tua has the potential, if he isn't forced into retirement early, I think Tua has the potential of aging like a fine wine. I think that he's got the sense, the intelligence to age very well in the NFL, but they've got to keep this guy's jersey clean, man, because if they don't, I mean, his head just can't handle getting banged around. That's just the truth of it. So the Packers upset the Dolphins. They're staying in playoff contention, at least trying to. I mean, they're going to need a little help, but they're trying to. And the Dolphins are weeding themselves out of a playoff, out of the playoff hunt rapidly at the way they're going. So, I mean, it's not a good deal, but the Packers win 26-20 over the Dolphins. Surprise game. This game was, like I said last week, pure pickle race. Broncos at Rams. I chose Broncos to win because who the fuck knew who the fuck was going to win this game. This was an atrocious game that it was so bad that the O-line was literally screaming at Russell Wilson because of how bad he was playing. He was missing wide open fucking routes in front of him. The game was such a fucking embarrassment that they literally fired Nathaniel Hackett on fucking Monday. Like, bye-bye. Monday or Tuesday. I can't remember. It was either Monday or today. I don't know. But either way, I mean, he just said goodbye. And they actually had to make a public apology to their fans about how much of an embarrassment this season's been. I mean, this is... Bad. Very, very bad. They lost to the Rams 51-14. Come the fuck on. I mean, like, they're both shitty teams. They're both out of contention at this point. But dude, you've got a defense that plays that fucking good typically, and you just got your doors literally blown off like you're in a fucking Yugo racing a fucking Hellcat fucking Charger or Challenger. Get the fuck out of here. No. So I was off on that pick, but that one really doesn't matter for me because there was no real winning on that one. Buccaneers at Cardinals. I mean, you got a struggling team versus a team out of contention that's just really honestly working on upsetting somebody. I will say that the ego of the quarterback of the Cardinals, that kid needs an ego check, but he's got potential. Oh man, does that kid have some potential? Give him some more practice time, give him some more realistic play time, and man, he might have a future. Just saying. But not this week. Buccaneers took that game 19-16 out of the Cardinals, and after the game, as of Tuesday, J.J. Watt announced that he would finally be retiring at the end of this season. So, hell of a career for J.J. Watt, and a really, really good dude overall. Just a really, really good guy. So there's that. And then final game of the week, Chargers at Colts. Absolutely no surprise other than just a pure embarrassment for the Colts organization as a whole. Chargers took this game with a convincing win of 20-3 with Nick Foles at the helm, and Nick Foles just played terrible. I'm a big Nick Foles fan. I think that guy has not really gotten a fair shake in his career because it's like he gets on a good team, he plays a little, shows what he's got, and then he immediately gets traded to some trash ass team that's half fucked up and plays like ass because it's just the weapons aren't there, the O-line's horrible, whatever. So it's just like, oh my God. But I mean, you come into this season, the Colts are another one of those teams. The Colts, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Dolphins, the Eagles. Let's see what other teams. The Bengals with their O-line, the Lions, the Jaguars, the Jets. I mean, there's been some teams this season that have really, hell, even the Chiefs with their receiving core and their complete like rookie fucking secondary, except for fucking Reed back there. Teams have made some major moves, but like teams like the Raiders, like the Chargers, like the Colts, the Broncos, they were all, statistically good rosters, if not amazing rosters, that just needed a couple of pieces. But I think the Colts, out of all of them, have got to be the biggest embarrassment of this group because the Colts, for 3 years, have had such a killer roster of available players. And then this year, they've had a metric fuck ton of O-line injuries. I think their starting running back has been out. Taylor, I think he's been out for a week or two. I think, could be wrong. I don't even think it matters. Their defense has just not been playing up to its potential. They've been in a position of trying to capitalize on other teams' mistakes, and if the team doesn't make mistakes, they're just fucked. And man, Colts made a lot of mistakes and had nothing to capitalize on, so they got their asses whipped. Now, into the goodies. Let's talk about next week, first of all. So Cowboys at Titans. With the way the Titans are playing right now, I am going with the Cowboys in this game. I don't see the Titans being able to stop the Cowboys right now. I really don't. Yeah, I don't see the Titans being able to stop the Cowboys. I just don't. Their defense is waning for some reason. Steelers at Ravens. Considering the Steelers have been doing a lot of coming back at the end of games, and the Ravens have been really bad about maintaining at the end of games, but I'm going to go for an upset pick with the Steelers going over the Ravens on this one. Probably going to be wrong about that, but it is what it is. So Cardinals at Falcons. I'm going to pick Cardinals. I really am, for the simple truth of the Falcons are a mess. And I think if they stick that kid in that they had playing this week, I think he can do just enough against the Falcons to win. So a huge game of interest. Absolute fucking huge game of interest for me, okay? Dolphins at Patriots. Patriots defense has been so hit or miss this season, and it's really surprising to me because Belichick is one of those, he's all about situational awareness with defense, especially. but I don't know that the Patriots defense has got enough to truthfully stop the Dolphins offense. But at the same time, there's not going to be Tua in there. So you're going to have, you know, I don't even know who the hell their quarterback is going to be. Truth be told, I don't know if it's, I think Brissett's still injured, but I don't know. Whoever the hell their backup is going to be. I still think that the Dolphins stand a better chance of winning against the Patriots. So I'm going to go with it. It's probably going to be wrong because it's really going to come down to quarterback play against that Patriots defense. It really is. Saints at Eagles. I think the Eagles are taking that one. I don't think there's much question on that. Giants at Colts. I think Giants are going to take that one. Panthers at Buccaneers. Now here is an interesting fucking game. Okay. Let's be honest here. Okay. Let's be 100% honest about this, okay? The Panthers are working their asses off trying to get into the playoffs, and they have a real shot to do it. They're only a game behind the Buccaneers at this point because the Buccaneers are at 7-8. I believe, yeah, they're 7-8. Panthers are at 6-9. I'm picking the Panthers to take the Bucks, and I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I think this could come down to the very end. And then again, I think the Bucks could absolutely fucking mop the floor with the Panthers team as a whole. But the Panthers have been on this interesting role of either being very close in games or winning games. So, I mean, even though they're bad, they've got a chance. I mean, they're going to be bottom of the barrel in the playoffs if they squeeze in, but God almighty. So the next game is going to be Broncos at the Chiefs. And truth be told, the last game was close because the defense made it really hectic, and the Broncos Chiefs games are always really fucked up, really crazy rivalry style games. So there's a whole lot of weird shit that happens and a lot of jaw jacking and everything else. What worries me is that either the Broncos players are going to give up or they're going to just step up for the interim coach. Given how the Broncos have played the last couple of weeks, I'm going Chiefs on this just because I just don't see it, man. I don't. Lions at Bears. I think the Lions are going to take that one. I think it'll probably be a little closer than everybody thinks because I think the Lions are going to come in with a fury. Browns at Commanders. As much as I want to say the Browns actually have a chance in this game, which they do, every team always has a chance. I mean, look at the Texans, Titans. As long as Carson Wentz doesn't make a bunch of fucking ridiculous mistakes, I think the Commanders will take the Browns because I just don't see the offensive productivity out of the Browns. I just don't. Jaguars at Texans, I'm going Jags for that one. 49ers at Raiders, going 49ers. Jets at Seahawks. If Mike White is starting, I think the Jets are taking that one, but I just don't see them putting Zach Wilson back in regardless. So, but Mike White did get cleared. It's just a matter of if they're actually going to play him. It's always I don't know, man. It's always kind of a crapshoot until game day when you got guys with busted ribs. So, but I mean, if Mike White plays, I don't see why the Jets can't beat the Seahawks. So, now I find Vikings at Packers to be a very interesting game. I think that the Vikings are going to take that game, but I think there's massive potential that the Packers could upset it. I really do. Chargers at Rams. Yeah, who's got home field at this one? They both play at the same stadium. Guess what? The Rams are going to play at their home stadium, but they're the away team. I'm going to pick Chargers over the Rams because the Rams have got just entirely too many injuries across the board, and I think the Chargers are just way better team. And then Bills at Bengals. Now, this is such an interesting game. I think as a whole, the Bengals are the better team. I really do. And I think out of every team in this league, God, it pains me to say this, but I think out of every team in this league, there are two specific teams that I think come out and make the absolute best second half adjustments. Okay. They really, well, okay, I'm going to say three teams, truthfully. I think there's three teams that make the absolute hands down best second half adjustments. Okay. And I think it's the Vikings. I think it's the Chiefs, and I think it's the Bengals. But out of all of them, I think the Bengals make the best second half adjustments. I really do. So even if the Bills, I mean, unless the Bills are up like 35 fucking points in the first half, I think, as long as the Bengals can keep it close in the first half, I think their second half adjustments are just going to be overwhelming enough to really keep this game very close. And I think the Bengals Bills is really going to come down to who's got the ball last. But I'm going to go Bengals. And that's not cautious optimism either. I mean, because I think the Bills have just as much chance to beat this game as the Bengals do. I really do. So it is what it is. So let's talk playoff picture, okay? So that's my picks. If you guys have any different opinions on that one, by all means, throw them my way, man. I will be glad to hear them. Now, on that note, though, playoff time. Okay. So, as of right now, I hate hearing the whole terminology of, well, if the playoffs started tomorrow, right? If the playoffs started tomorrow, this is what we'd be looking at. Yeah, well, my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a wagon. So what? Here's what we know for sure, okay? The Bills and the Chiefs have clinched playoff spots, or have clinched their division and a playoff spot. The Bengals have clinched a playoff spot, and I think if they win this weekend, they take their division as well, if they haven't already. Yeah, I think they need to win one more game, and they'll clinch their division as well. But right now, Bills are in first. The Bills are the first seed, Chiefs are the second seed, Bengals are the third seed, and funny enough, because of the Titans' loss, the Jaguars are now the 4th seed, and the Titans are completely out of the playoffs at the moment. This is insane to me, okay? But truthfully, I think the Jaguars have earned the spot to hold that division. Now, they haven't clinched it yet. They're going to have to win out, and, the Titans are going to have to lose. I mean, basically, the Jaguars are going to have to win out the season in order to hold on to that spot. But as of right now, the Jaguars are number 4 seed. Now, the Ravens have clinched a playoff spot with 10-5, 5th seed. Chargers have clinched a playoff spot for the first time in a few years as the 6th seed. And right now, the Dolphins are at 8-7, but they've got the Patriots nipping at their heels at 7-8, Jets, Titans, Steelers, all nipping at their heels at 7-8. So all it's going to take is the Dolphins to lose, one fucking game and one of these other teams behind them to win out. And the Dolphins are fucked. So they are right on the cusp of just literally just losing it for the season. That's the AFC. But if the Bengals do actually beat the Bills, then that's going to put the Chiefs, then the Bengals, then the Bills, then the Jaguars if the Jaguars win. It's an interesting time, man. Like the 4 seed, like the first 3 seeds are all coming down to the Chiefs winning out their last 2 games. And those 2 games are, I know Broncos is one of them. Broncos on the Raiders. And truthfully, like, I think both of those games are going to be bonkers as always, but I think they have a very good chance at winning both of them, which if they do, that's going to put them at 14-3 for the fucking season. So that's a pretty fucking impressive run. So, yeah, I mean, if this really comes down to the Chiefs have got to win out. And if the Bengals beat the Bills, all of a sudden, Chiefs win out, Bengals beat the Bills, Chiefs are the number 1 seed no matter what the fuck anybody wants to do about it. But then it comes down to who the fuck's going to be the 4 seed and the 7 seed. That's the AFC. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. It's a shifting fucking just wave of what the fuck. Okay, so the Eagles have won their division. No question about that. They got a problem, though. Okay. Or no, the Eagles have not won their division. They've clinched a playoff spot, as have the Cowboys. Now, there's 2 games left in the season, and the Cowboys hold the tiebreaker over the Eagles. So if the Cowboys win out, and for some, if the Cowboys win their next 2 games, and the Eagles just happen to lose their next 2 games by whatever chance may be, the Cowboys could all of a sudden be pole vaulted above the Eagles in the NFC East, which the NFC East has always been an insane group of shit right now. And funny enough, the entire NFC East is projected to be playoffs at the moment. It's crazy talk. So, But that puts it to where if the Vikings should win out the rest of this season, all of a sudden the Vikings are going to be the 1 seed and the Cowboys will be the 2 seed if the Eagles lose. Right now, though, the Eagles are sitting top of the NFC at 13-2, with the Vikings right behind them at 12-3. The 49ers on their third fucking quarterback because one got a broken ankle, the other one got a broken foot, so they're their third string quarterback, their third quarterback of the season, and they're still at 11-4. And my God, the 49ers were so depleted with fucking injuries in the first half of the season. And for them to resiliently and stubbornly hold out to 11-4, and one of those losses was an absolute just door blow off game against the Chiefs. That's a really, really solid thing. Even if they lose in the playoffs, that is a huge thing for them to hold their heads up high. I mean, 100%. The 49ers have won their division and they've clinched a playoff spot. The Vikings have won their division and they've clinched a playoff spot. It's bonkers. The Eagles have clinched a playoff spot. The Buccaneers, they're up in the air. We're going to talk about that. The Buccaneers are sitting... So 49ers are 11-4. Buccaneers are 7-8 at the 4 seed because they're ahead of their division. So for anybody who doesn't understand that, basically whoever's top of the division is guaranteed one of the 4 top spots, just depending on record. Buccaneers are leading their division, which is like the crappiest division in the NFL right now, next to the AFC South. Funny enough, yeah, it's rough. But as far as divisions go, like we'll cover in a minute, but the Cowboys are sitting at the 5 seed at 11-4. So like I said, they're 2 games behind the Eagles, and they've definitely clinched a playoff spot because they are absolutely smoking the other 2 players the other 2 teams, any of the other teams behind them. So they've definitely clinched a playoff spot, but if they win out and the Eagles should fuck up and lose 2 games, all of a sudden Cowboys are going to leapfrog into probably the 2 seed. So that's going to be interesting. Well, 2 or 3 seed. We'll see. I don't remember which teams have beat who at this point. But then you've got the Commanders at 7, or I'm sorry, you got the Giants at 8-6-1 NFC East, and their tie is with the Washington Commanders, which are 7-7-1. The hiccup is the Seahawks just need 1 game. They need the Commanders to lose a game, and they need to win a game. And they'll be ahead of the Commanders in the playoffs. But then again, the Lions need it too. Like there's this whole wild just mess of shit when it comes to the tail end of the NFC. Like the 6 and 7 seed are just fucking wide open right now because the 6 seed is only 1 game ahead. Okay, it's 1.5 games technically because it's the Giants with a tie in there, so they're 8-6-1. So they're 1.5 games ahead of the Seahawks, Lions, and Packers, which are all 7-8. The Commanders are a half game ahead at 7-7-1. So, I mean, the Commanders are right on the fringe of fucking their season, much like the Dolphins. But when it comes to the Buccaneers, that's where things get very interesting, the NFC South. Because right now, the NFC South is the Buccaneers at 7-8, the Panthers at 6-9, Saints at 6-9, Falcons at 5-10. But the Panthers actually have a legitimate shot at taking that division if the Buccaneers fuck up. The Panthers have to win out and the Buccaneers have to lose a game. And the way the Panthers have been playing lately, it's possible. With the way the Buccaneers have been playing, it's possible that could happen. And if it does, I think the Panthers are going to have a very, very short run in the playoffs. Because this is going to be the final part of this particular talk. Who's really likely, and this is such a crazy thing because the playoffs are crazy, but who's very likely to actually succeed in the playoffs? So let's look at the AFC side of this, right? Who's the most likely that's going to show success in the playoffs? If the playoffs, I hate using this phrasing, if the playoffs were to start tomorrow, right? It would be Bills, Chiefs, Bengals, Jags, Ravens, Chargers, Dolphins. Who do I see having the most success? Well, the Bills would have a first week bye, which would put the Chiefs against the Dolphins. And with the struggles that the Dolphins have, much less running on a backup quarterback, if the playoffs started tomorrow, I think the Chiefs would win that game. But I think it would be very close because the Chiefs secondary has had struggles against giving up a lot of yards with players or with opposing teams. And the fucking Dolphins definitely strive to be very good at putting up deep balls on other teams. So I think it would be a very, very close game. but I think the Chiefs would win that game. But this would also put the Bengals against the Chargers. And the sad truth of it is that I think the Bengals could actually lose against the Chargers. I think that the Chargers defense is just good enough, not great, but just good enough to come back for a really, really crazy fucking game against the Bengals only in the playoffs, because I think Herbert is going to come in I think Justin Herbert's going to come in with a chip on his shoulder the size of fucking Cincinnati, no pun intended to who they're playing, and I think he's going to just light it the fuck up on the Bengals if he gets the chance. But what adjustments will the Bengals make? I don't know. The Chargers haven't been great at second half adjustments in comparison to the Bengals, I will say that. But then that would finally put the Jaguars against the Ravens. Truthfully, I think the Jaguars would win that game because the Ravens cannot seem to finish games worth of shit. They're great in the first 3 quarters, or the first 2.5 quarters, and then they're kind of poop at the tail end of games. And the Jaguars have been very good at finishing games as of late. So, but then that puts you at, let's just say, the big what if. Chiefs win, Jaguars win, Chargers win, right? Well, then that's going to put the Bills against the Chargers, and that's going to put the Chiefs against the Jaguars for the next round. Who do you think would win that? I think that, again, I think the Bills would have struggles with the Chargers. Do I think that the Chargers can stop the Bills? No. I think the Bills would take the Chargers. I 100% do. I think it would be close. I think it would be very close because I do think that the Chargers would give massive headaches to the Bills offense. But I think that the Bills defense is just good enough to cause problems for the Chargers offense, especially the receiving core. Just saying. And then Chiefs at Jaguars, not taking into account that the Chiefs did beat the Jaguars once. The Jaguars are playing much better ball, but I still think that the Chiefs would take the Jaguars. I do think it would be a very fucking close game, though, again, which would put it at Bills at Chiefs in the championship game, which, God almighty, that would be a fucking game. And it would be in Buffalo, not in Kansas City. Oh, dear Lord, would that be a game, especially if it's snowing. But then we look at the NFC. So the Eagles would have a bye. Thank God for them, because by the time the bye was over, they'd probably have Jalen Hurts back. So that would put the Vikings against the Commanders. I think the Vikings would take that. That would put the 49ers against the Giants. I think the 49ers would take that. And Buccaneers versus Cowboys. Cowboys would beat the fuck out of the Buccaneers. Let's be honest. So then that would put the Eagles versus the Cowboys and the Vikings versus the 49ers. Oh my. Oh, fucking my. Eagles versus Cowboys. We just saw how that ended. Yeah, I think. Now, this is Gardner Minshew the first time. Jalen Hurts would probably be the second time. Yeah, so I think it would be another close game, but I think the Eagles would be back for revenge, and I think the Eagles would take the Cowboys on that one. But the Vikings versus the 49ers. Oh, man. Dude, would that be a game? Just crazy fucking defense with a kind of a mediocre to good offense compared to a really powerful offense and a mediocre defense. That would be like a crazy, who the fuck knows was going to win that one. I would honestly say that out of the Vikings and the 49ers, because of second half adjustments, I think that the Vikings could possibly eke out another last minute fucking field goal type of win, but I think that's the only way the Vikings could win that game. Keep it close and win at the end. But the 49ers, man, that defense is a scary son of a bitch, but I think the Vikings could take it, which would put it at the Vikings and Eagles facing each other in the championship game. And no, I'm not calling that right now because that's not what we know. But picture that as the championship games. Bills at Chiefs or Chiefs at Bills, and then Vikings at Eagles, if it were how it is right now. But I think both conferences are very fluid right now, and I think that there's a lot yet to be determined, especially on the back end. Because I mean, if the Dolphins blow it, It's really just going to depend on who the fuck picks up the slack afterward. And with Tua being out, there's a very good chance that they miss the playoffs. There's a very good chance that they miss the playoffs because all they need is one loss and one team to win out. And they've got an option of 4 fucking teams to win out. You know, are the Steelers going to win out? Probably not. Could the Titans win out? It's possible. Could the Jets possibly win out? Depending on their quarterback, it's possible. Could the Patriots win out? I think the 2 most likely candidates that could knock the Dolphins out would be the Titans or the Jets. I think that is the truth of it. You know, but if the Titans do it, you know, that still leaves the Jaguars sitting there. The Jaguars have to win out in order to hold their position. So, and then for fuck's sake, I mean, the goddamn NFC is even more insane. I mean, you know, you've got the 4 seed, the 6 seed, and the 7 seed that are just in complete flux right now. You know, the Bucks lose a game and the Panthers went out. The Panthers are in the 4 seed and the Bucks are out, you know, or at least the Bucks are at the tail end. But I mean, they'll be basically at the same fucking record as possibly the Lions, the Seahawks, the Panthers. I'm sorry, the Seahawks, the Lions, or the Packers. And out of those teams, I think the Lions have the best chance to actually possibly make the playoffs. But you got 2 spots here. So who do you got? I don't know that the Buccaneers are going to win out. I don't think the Panthers are going to win out. I really don't. So I think the Bucks are probably going to hold their division lead and barely eke through at as the 4 seed. But I think the Giants are more than capable of losing a game. I think the Lions are more than capable of winning out, possibly. I think the Packers could eke out winning out. It's possible. And if they do so, the Giants and the Commanders could be completely out, and all they'd have to do is lose 1 game. Then all of a sudden, you'd have the Lions and the Packers at the 6 and 7 seed instead of the Giants and Commanders. I mean, they could completely miss out with just losing 1 game. And the other one of those 2 other teams winning out. It is possible. I mean, this year's football, fuck me, man. It's got my head broke. It really does. It's got my head absolutely fucking spun. So I've given you my picks. We've broke down the fucking playoffs, and God be with us on our venture. This has been an insane fucking season between refs, just between the officiating, NFL rules, and the NFL officials basically standing up for it, and then teams being very fucking underwhelming for what they are. I just don't even know what to say about 2022-2023 season, other than what a fucking ride it's been so far. So folks, I do want to thank you very much for watching, and we'll catch you next week, all right?